What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome back to the show. Obviously, I knew about the Barkley news this morning. I went ahead and created my stream for later today. I created that actually early this morning. I didn't get to bed till about 7 or so in the morning, and I seen the news come down. I did not go live on it because I was getting ready to go to bed, and so you know, I made my thumbnail for it and I put it up on the YouTube page so that you guys knew I was going to talk about it here about 4 o'clock my time, and here we are. So let's jump into the news. Obviously, this is the big headline right here. Barkley signs a 1-year $11 million deal with the Giants. I think he's got a chance to get up to about 12 with the incentives. We'll go over that here. I haven't really looked much into it, but I've obviously seen some headlines. But let's go ahead and jump into the news desk here. This is the Barkley news. We'll go over that last. So the first news I want to go over today. So obviously training camp kicked off today for pretty much every veteran that's in the, so pretty much all the players are now at training camp. The rookies started the last week for most teams. And then now the veterans are there officially today on Tuesday, July 25th. And obviously, as you guys expected, Josh Jacobs is not there. I think we kind of all seen that kind of coming. I thought there was a chance that Barkley would hold out for a while. I thought he would come to an agreement to sign the franchise tag like maybe a week from now, or a little bit into the training camp. But it turns out he actually got a new deal done. This is not his franchise tag. For those of you out here who don't know if he signed the franchise tag, it's not a franchise tag. It's like an actual deal, which I guess I didn't even know they were allowed to do. I thought the negotiating period was over, but I guess if the team wants to come out and kind of come to the table, they're allowed to. And so this is a new deal for Saquon Barkley. It's not probably what he wanted or expected or anything like that, but it is a little bit better than the franchise tag, according to some of the things I've read. Barkley got finessed. Yeah, Barkley got finessed to a degree, I will say. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into some of this news though real quick. So we got Zay Flowers here. Making a great early impression of Baltimore, according to Jeff Zrebrick on Twitter here. I can't even say that guy's name. He's reportedly made a great early impressions on the coaching, staffing, and teammates through his maturity, work ethic, and drive. This is a good sign. Yo, Randy, what's up? What's going on, Randy? I like Zay Flowers to a degree, and I'm not surprised at this at all. This guy kind of puts off as somebody who just really shows up early, shows up every single day. This guy will be a good receiver in the NFL one day. I don't know if he's going to be quite what we want him to be his rookie year. I'm not really buying a whole lot of him in the best ball drafts. I will say though, like in my auction league or in a dynasty league, like my auction's not dynasty, but I have 3 keepers. And I will be trying to get this guy, like for low money in the auction, and to the point to where maybe I could keep him for a set number of years down the road. And so, like I highly encourage you guys to go out and get Zay Flowers to a degree. If you have a keeper league or if you have dynasty or something like that, I would highly recommend. I do think he will be a good receiver, say probably after this year. I think he's going to get held back a little bit of what he could potentially be because of Odell Beckham and Andrews, Bateman coming back. It's going to be a very crowded receiving room for him this year. And I'm not saying he can't put up fantasy points here and there. He will, but I would lower your expectations on what Zay Flowers will eventually be, I think. So I don't get him as much in redraft, like the best ball leagues. I don't have him as much because it's just for this year. I mean, all these best ball drafts I do are just for this year, so I'm not really getting him as much because I think his better years are yet to come. But if I can get him in a sleeper league that I like, you know, my sleeper league where it's a keeper, or if you have a dynasty, I would highly encourage you guys to go out and get him. I think he's going to be good. I think there's a chance that he could be the best receiver to come out of this draft period. So, and I said that from day one, and I still believe that. I do think, like I said, he's going to have to, you're going to have to be patient with him. You're going to have to be patient with somebody like Zay Flowers. So, yeah, I see you, Randy. What's going on? Jose, I see you as well. Let's get into our next piece of news here. Brock Purdy. This is also from today. So, Brock Purdy. Well, let me find the damn thing. Where's it at? There it is. He's officially been medically cleared for training camp, but will be on a pitch count. So we kind of seen this coming. You know, I think they're going to ease him back into action a little bit. I do think he'll be ready to go for week 1. I think he's a clear-cut starter there in San Francisco. It's going to be tough. If I was the coach, it would be tough to make a call on Darnold or even Trey Lance at quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen with Trey Lance. I don't know if they're already considering Lance a project that they missed on or what is going on. But they absolutely did not do anything right by Trey Lance, and you know, I don't know if they end up trading him. I really think they do. I think they end up trading him at some point in time in the season. Somebody's going to go down. Somebody's going to need a quarterback, and you know, if Purdy becomes the clear-cut starter, there's no issues. You know, and Lance is really, I guess, technically behind Sam Darnold on the depth chart. You know, they're going to have to do something with him. They're going to have to get rid of him or something, because he's going to want out of there anyways, more than likely. And the problem is they're not going to get what they want for him. They spent so much draft capital to move up and get him in the draft 3 years ago, and that's why they haven't got rid of him, because they're probably not getting offers that they would want. So, you think it's Flowers or Hyatt? Yeah, I'm not as big on Hyatt, man, to be honest, but Hyatt's in a tough spot. I think he could be in a better situation if he went, like if he was on the Chiefs, like, you know, and he had a better quarterback throw, he could have way more upside. But I think being in New York is a little, you know, he's a little I like Flowers better in Baltimore. It's just we got to give him time, because Odell's only going to be there for so long, and I think it's only a matter of time before he takes over and is better than Bateman as a receiver as well. He is better than Bateman as a receiver, I think. So at least in every facet of being a receiver, I think he's more versatile. But it's gonna take him a minute to kind of, you know, we'll see what happens. Flowers could be a guy that, especially if he doesn't get drafted, or say he does get drafted in your main league, he's probably going to get dropped. Somebody's going to drop him, because if he doesn't start producing right out the gate and he's just sitting on the bench, and say the guy has injuries pile up or something, Flowers could be a guy that like gets dropped from a team, and then he could be a guy that you pick up in the waiver wire like week 7 or 8 if, say, something happens to Odell or something happens to Bateman or one of those guys. I say hi because he's got the best chance to shine on his respective team. Yeah, I guess to a degree. It's weird how it cuts that off. I guess to a degree he does. We'll see. We'll see. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you right now. This news of Barkley, it doesn't help him. It doesn't help his case. So we'll see about that. Next piece of news: Malik Willis. Did it show Malik Willis? There it is. So Malik Willis is showing glaring improvement in camp already. So that's a good thing. He's showing a huge improvement over the off season. And this is bad news if you are heavily invested, which I don't know why you would be, but if you took Will Levis in if you're in Dynasty, you get the rookie draft, you took Will Levis, that's probably it's probably not good news to see this. But yes, that's here. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel stated Tuesday that Malik Willis came out of spring with glaring improvement and knows what goes into being an NFL quarterback. Willis could be a guy who people pick up off the waiver wire at some point. I think we'll see what happens, man, because I know Tannehill's got DeAndre Hopkins now. Obviously, you still got Derrick Henry, some of those guys, but they still have to play well. And Tannehill, no matter what you guys think, he's still in the hot seat. Yeah, Tannehill is still in the hot seat, man. He is on a tight leash. It doesn't matter that they went and got Hopkins and all this. If anything, it just tempers expectations even more for him. And we'll see if he can live up to it or not, because more than likely he's not going to. And I believe he's on the last year of his deal, if I'm not mistaken. But they badly want to move on from Tannehill. They just don't have. They haven't seen enough from Willis, and then obviously they drafted Will Levis. But until one of these other quarterbacks, whether it's Willis or Levis, who can improve enough to outplay him and end up being the leader for this team and moving the team down the field and with good quarterback play, until that happens, they're not going to really move on from Tannehill. So if Malik Willis can do that, he will be once again, I think, maybe competing for some quarterback reps like he did last year. So keep an eye on Willis I don't think really he's going to go draft. He's not going to get drafted too much, I wouldn't think, unless they name him like the starter out of nowhere. You might see him in some super flex leagues, obviously, but I actually kind of like Malik Willis this year as a underrated quarterback, especially if you're in super flex. He's a guy that maybe you pick up as a third quarterback for next to nothing at the very last round of your draft, because nobody's really looking at him. Or he's a guy who, like I said, you look at him come the waiver wire time. So, all right, let's go to the big. Well, there's two pieces of news that are pretty big. Obviously, let's go over Tony here again. I feel like I've covered Tony so freaking much the last week. Tony had a knee surgery Tuesday. That was today, by the way. Kadarius Toney underwent a cleanup surgery Tuesday morning, his second knee operation of the offseason. So this was on the same knee. I'm glad that we know this now. It was on the same knee. He had a knee operation. So this is the same knee. We were wondering which knee it was, and it's the same one. According to head coach Andy Reid, there's a, quote, a chance he will be ready for Thursday night opener against Detroit. After tweaking his knee before Sunday's practice, Tony's training camp availability was already in question, and this latest operation adds to the list of setbacks. Tony's continued absence will provide additional opportunities for the rest of KC's wide receiver core. I talked about this. I've already talked about this so much. Obviously, I talked about it yesterday because of the injury, or not yesterday, 2 days ago on Sunday when he injured it. I'm staying away from this guy, man. I'm staying away from this guy. This guy, I said this to freaking Smitty, dude. I remember we were talking about this. I said that this guy reminded me of Allen Robinson and Mike Thomas last year. I said that like in a phone conversation back in like the beginning of June or maybe it was like halfway through May. This guy reminded me of Allen Robinson last year and Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas was going to like the 4th, 5th round. Allen Robinson was going in the 4th round. Tony was going like in the middle or beginning of round 7, but then he slid up to round 6, and then obviously people were drafting him in the 5th round in some of our drafts as well. And so this guy is a walking injury, man, waiting to happen. Even again, he's going to miss all of training camp. They're talking about him may be ready for week 1, but he probably won't. He may be ready for week 1, but he probably won't. And he's going to be so injury prone now that, you know, basically going on the rest of this season. I'm not buying him anywhere near his ADP right now. I would have to get him in like round 9 or 10 maybe to even take this guy. I think that's where I'm at with this guy. There's other players I would rather have that go where he goes. It's not even a question now. We knew this going. I told you, that's why I have like no shares of this guy. I have a few of them, but it's only whenever I stacked him with Chiefs players. I'm not heavily invested in him at all. I can show you guys my what my exposure is to him on Underdog, and I'm telling you, I've already showed you guys for the most part, but it is not. Trust me, I wasn't a guy who was on the train and like all of a sudden I'm getting off, because I was never on the train to begin with. I was never on the train to begin with. Here it is. Move this down here. Yeah, here it is. I have 2 shares of this guy. I have 1.4% over almost 150 teams. I was not high on this guy to begin. Yeah, it's Sky Moore season. That's right. Who said that? Randy. Yeah, it's Sky Moore season, bro. And Sky Moore, if you could have gotten him in round 11, like Sky Moore in this right here was going in round 11. He was going in round 11. He goes in like round 9 now, but if you got him back in round 11 back in May, you are licking your chops right now. So yeah, dude, I'm off Tony. I'll maybe buy in once I see something, like, you know, obviously I'm not gonna be able to buy in the Underdog, but like I'll buy into him to a degree if he's sitting on the waiver wire and something happens, and you know, throughout the season. But as far as drafting this guy or bidding on this guy, like, you know, I don't know what he's going to go for in the auction league. Look, the guy in my auction league was going to keep this guy. He was going to keep this guy, had him set as one of his keepers, and now he's not his keeper anymore. And so, year early on him last year on Sky Moore. Yeah, Sky Moore will be better. This is why I'm telling people to pump the brakes on Rashid Rice as well. Now, Rashid Rice, we'll see. The thing about Rashid Rice is that he's really behind Scantling. I don't think he's behind Tony. Like, if Tony misses time, let me go ahead and check the depth chart real quick. I'm pretty sure Rashid Rice is behind. He may be behind actually Tony. Let me check. This does matter. So Rashid Rice is behind Tony. So, you know, Reed isn't really known to play his rookies very much, and that is a little concerning because we have one of the toughest offenses to learn. We have one of the toughest playbooks in the NFL to learn. Our playbook is crazy from what I hear compared to other teams. I mean, Mahomes was literally, like, when Clyde was a rookie, back when Damian Williams was he wasn't really a rookie at the time, but he was a rookie in terms of being on the team the first year, back when the year before we won the Super Bowl and the year we won the Super Bowl, I believe, back in 2018, 2019, you know, those 2 seasons. Mahomes would have to tell those guys like what to do in the huddle because they didn't know the playbook, because the playbook was so sophisticated that Mahomes, like, I'm telling you, these rookies, this is why they don't get much playing time in Kansas City. It's because the playbook is so sophisticated. Not saying that Rashee Rice can't get more playing time than maybe some of the past rookies we've seen on the Chiefs. He could, but at the same time, I would take caution into that, because that is a thing. That is a thing. Our playbook is so sophisticated, it's tough for year one players to get a handle and get a grip on things. There's so much stuff in the offense. I mean, our offensive playbook is like, it's like I'm trying to think of a restaurant with a huge menu. It's basically one of those. It's like a restaurant that has a huge menu. That's how big our playbook is. And then on top of it, you got to get cadences down with Mahomes. You got to get other motions and everything else memorized, stuff like that. There's just so much that goes into our offense compared to, like, you know, this isn't Chip Kelly's offense where he's got 2 plays that he runs. You guys remember Chip Kelly for the Oregon Ducks? And then he ended up becoming the Eagles head coach. The guy ran like 2 plays. He had like 4 plays on his sheet. That was it. It was like read option or read option and don't give it to the back and throw it. You know, that's basically all he ran. Our playbook is so much more sophisticated. And that's why I would caution with these rookies to a degree. I do think, though, Rashee Rice is behind Tony on the list. So Rashee Rice, he's gonna start getting drafted earlier, obviously. So, all right, enough about Tony. Like I said, Tony, I'm not buying this year, man. I'm not. I got 2 shares of him, and I'm probably not going to have any more shares of him in Underdog. So, unless he drops like round 11 or something. All right, last but not least here, let's get into the big news of the day. And it is Saquon Barkley. So after threatening to hold out through training camp and potentially the 2023 season, which I didn't think he would do, okay, to begin this. I did think he would hold out training camp to a degree. I thought he would hold out a little bit. I didn't think he would hold out for the season, though. I did think he would come to the table and sign something. So he has a deal. He signed a 1-year deal worth up to $11 million with the Giants, beating the franchise tag. The franchise tag, remember, is like $10.1 million. So this $11 million is he's getting about $900,000 extra, including a $2 million signing bonus. So the $2 million signing bonus is basically he's getting $2 million once he signed. This is fantasy. This is the news fantasy managers have been longing to hear. While it's not a long-term contract, many hope for it does ease the tension of this year. It doesn't say it on here, but he had like a $1 million bonus, I believe, if he was like over. Let me see what the bonus. I think if he was over like 1,300 yards, 65 catches, and a few touchdowns. Do we still fade Barkley? To a degree, yes. This helps his chances, though, okay? Because remember I said yesterday, if he missed training camp plus the 352 total touches, which is what he had, I said if he missed training camp, the increase for, look, throughout history, if you miss like training camp, especially if you're a running back, this is huge for running backs. If running backs get beat up, I mean, they go through hell. They put their body through so much during, over the course of a season. So if you miss training camp, there's like a greater risk for running backs especially to get injured whenever they miss training camp. And Jacobs is missing training camp right now, and I think he's going to miss all of it. We'll see, though. We'll see what happens with Jacobs. But now that he's not going to miss any training camp, we're talking about Barkley here, I would say I would be a little more optimistic about his health now, because it's good that he's there. He needs to get these reps underneath his belt at training camp, because the writing on the wall, if he missed all of training camp, would tell us, like, look, this guy's at an increased odds of getting hurt, especially coming off the 352 total touches. Yeah, he is the guy who was on the list that still received a crap ton of touches last year. 352, the same amount of touches he had his rookie year. And then he had look, I think Barkley can be okay, but don't expect him to produce more in fantasy this year than last year. I wouldn't expect it. It is possible, but it's not. It would be going against the trend of what we've seen in past years of running backs that have all those touches. So, would you draft Barkley over guys like Chubb or Pollard? Not Pollard. I wouldn't draft him over Pollard. It's close, but give me Pollard, especially because here's the deal. Barkley's going to move back up into round 2 now. He was starting to kind of fall into the beginning of round 3 for like a week. You know, he was only there for so long, but now he's going to go right back up to round 2, probably the middle of round 2, probably in front of Chubb. It's going to be the only way you're going to be getting Barkley now really is if you have like pick 7 through 12. You might see him every now and then in round 2. He's going to go somewhere in round 2 between those picks. So basically the front half of round 2 to the middle, that's about where he should go now that he signed. People are going to feel a little more optimistic about him. This is actually brand new news that just came up. Tony Pollard cleared for camp. Pollard has been cleared to participate in training camp. Okay, that literally just happened like a few minutes ago. But Barkley, man, I do like Chubb a little bit to a degree. I've taken Chubb. I do like Barkley too. It's just I worry about the price tag for him. I feel like the price tag is a little high for me, and I'm still waiting to see. I'm still waiting to see what happens with I'm still waiting to see what happens with Ramondre Stevenson. There we go. I'll move this up here so it's not in the way of my camera. I don't know. What do you pick at 17 if I'm staring at guys like Barkley, Olave, Pollard, or Chubb? Hopefully St. Brown's there. That's what I'm going to tell you. Hopefully St. Brown's there. That's what I would hope. No, actually, let's move this back down here, and then let's take the camera and move it up a little bit. Yeah, I would hope that St. Brown's there at 17. You know, of course, if it's best ball, he won't be there. But let me look at. I want to look at the Giants' schedule real quick. Also, just need to pull up this. Look at the strength of schedule chart here. So strength of schedule chart, they're a little bit in the negative here. Yeah, the Giants have the 19th worst strength of schedule. So 19th meaning there's 18 other teams that have a better strength of schedule than them, according to the projections. Obviously, it doesn't mean it's what it's going to be at the end of the year, but you know, they got a preseason. They got the first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, Jets in Cleveland. That's coming up next Thursday. I didn't even realize that was so close. It's crazy, man. I'm so excited, man. Football season is almost here. Almost here. You're gonna take St. Brown at 1.08. I don't know if you should do that though. If you can get him in the second round, you're talking about an ESPN league. Falcons Saints are the easiest. Yeah, I'm tracking that one. Yeah, that's why I love Bijan so much. You think? Look, if you think you can get St. Brown in the second round, I would wait on him. That's just me. And I think worst case scenario, worst case scenario, you miss out on him and you take Garrett Wilson, you take Olave, or you even take Pollard to a degree. I don't know if I would go Pollard that early. I don't know if I'd have to see where his like ADP is on ESPN. But if you think you can get a St. Brown in the second round, if you actually think that, which it's possible on ESPN because I've done it a number of times. If you think you can get him there, I would roll the dice. And like I said, if you miss out on him, you got Garrett Wilson there. You can draft Olave, obviously a little early, although you could probably still get Olave in round 3. So, you know, maybe you go, because who's going to be there? Who's going to be on the board after, like if the one guy goes Diggs and Josh Allen and the other guy goes AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, who's going to be there? Devontae Adams will be on the board, right? Somebody should take him before St. Brown. Waddle will be there. You think Waddle goes before St. Brown? And then you also got Barkley now. Barkley's going to go before St. Brown now because of this news. This is good news for you. And so that's why I would say I don't think so, man. I think in the ESPN league, I would wait because I think there's a chance you still get him. The Barkley news helps. You still got Chubb out there who probably goes before St. Brown. At least in ESPN, I don't ever see him go before an underdog. But you still got Devontae Adams. You still got some of these other guys out there, like Waddle and all those guys. You still have guys out there that would probably go in front of St. Brown. You could still snag St. Brown in the second round. And that's all I would say to you. So if you really want St. Brown, yeah, you can take him in the first round. I wouldn't say it's a reach to take him in round 1, but to a degree it kind of is in that league because I mean, I would still say that pick's really, really good in round 1. I'd take him in round 1 all the time, but if you know you can get him in round 2, I would wait. That's just me. Like if you know there's a good chance, I would do it. You're haunted by running backs the past 2 years. I think Bijan is one of the safest first round picks you can take at running back. I think he's safer than McCaffrey and Eckler. This guy is not. I know he could get hurt, and let's knock on wood. Let's knock on wood that he doesn't. But this guy is an elite talent at running back. First year in the league. He doesn't have much of an injury history at all. I think he had like a dislocated elbow like in college, but that was it. He's got nothing to worry about as far as like ankle, knee injuries, any of that stuff. And so take Bijan in round 1 if he's there. I would just take it, dude. And look, the guy's gonna get fed a ton. He's young. He's 21. This guy's 21 years old. This guy he's not got as much mileage and injury history as any of these other guys in the first round or even in the second round if you consider Chubb and Saquon. Chubb and Saquon also have I'd be staring. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to be staring at Saquon. I think Saquon is going to be gone. He should be. You have I think after this news, Saquon's going to be gone, dude. Like, people are going to... He's vaulted back up into the middle of round 2, maybe even early round 2. Dude, Saquon is an early round 2 player. I'm telling you that right now. He's early round 2. He's early round 2. Like, Barkley was going 13, 14, 15th overall in all of the best ball drafts before the holdout, which we already knew was going to probably happen. We already knew there was a potential chance of him getting franchise tagged and then maybe not getting the contract he wanted. I knew that back in May, early June. Now, a lot of people didn't know about it so they were still drafting him that high. And then he started to kind of fall in round 3 once we found out he wasn't coming to an agreement. But now that he's got this deal done, he's vaulted right back up into round 2. He's going to go early to mid round 2 now, just about every time. And so, like I said, I would go St. Brown. I would go St. Brown in round 2. I would gamble on it. What, you have the 5th pick? You have the 5th pick of round 2, right? And you already know 2 of those guys are going to be either Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. So Devontae Adams is there, Waddle is there, Barkley's there, Chubb is there. Who else is there? I'm missing one player. I know I'm missing a player. You have to survive the 15 and 16 pick. You think the guy's going to take Derrick Henry in round 1? Wow. I forgot about Henry. Yeah, Henry would be there. He should be there in round 2. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. Let me go to my... Let me go to these rankings on Underdog and look real quick. Garrett Wilson should be there, but he's not. Pollard will be there as well. So Pollard will be a guy that's on the board too that people will think about taking. The question is, who does the... So if the 9 guy takes Henry, that's going to be one of the same guys who picks in front of you. And then if the other guy takes, you don't know who the 10 guy is going to take. Yeah, CD will be there as well. Yeah. I forgot about CD Lamb. He's a casual. I'm telling you, dude, just trust me. Just go Bijan and get St. Brown. You're gonna get St. Brown round 2. You're gonna get him. You're gonna get it. You have to believe you're gonna get him. And if one of these guys is a casual, or maybe they're both casuals, that just increases your likelihood of getting him. You're gonna get him. You're gonna get him. Just roll the dice, and it's okay if you don't get him, and it's okay if you don't. It's okay if you don't. The running backs are gonna go early in that draft, so that's why I'm saying to take Bijan. You're gonna, if you don't take Bijan, you're gonna have to go Tyreek Hill, and then you're gonna have to probably take Pollard in round 2 or Stevenson, depending on. Like I said, depending on if Stevenson can weather this storm of running backs that the Patriots are trying to sign. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. I'll have better information for you once we know what happens with because here's the deal. If, like I said, and I said this last night, if Stevenson avoids any major running back signing to the Patriots, Stevenson is a round 2 player. Okay? So you could still go Bijan, and then say if Stevenson survives the storm of running backs that are trying to sign New England, you go St. Brown. But if St. Brown's not there, then you just take Stevenson, and so or you take Pollard. So I don't, I'm not a big fan of going running back, but I would in that circumstance, considering an ESPN, you could still get Olave in round 3 probably. You could get a quarterback round 4 like Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert or Justin Fields, and then you could probably get Ridley in round 5. So if you went Bijan Stevenson or Bijan Pollard, you go ahead and get Olave in round 3. He should fall to you in round 3, I would think. And then you get a quarterback, and then you get Ridley in round 5. So you still have two really good running backs, 2 pretty decent receivers. If you get stuck with Olave and Ridley, I wouldn't mind it. I would take it. Like if I knew I was getting Stevenson and Bijan, you said, oh, but your receivers are going to be Olave and Calvin Ridley, I would be celebrating. So because that's still kind of a steal. And then you also get Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert or Justin Fields at quarterback. Oh my goodness. I mean, you almost can't ask for a better starter in my opinion. So like I said, we'll play by ear, but man, I'm telling you right now, if you think there's even a 20% chance that you get St. Brown in round 2, I would roll the dice and try to get him in round 2. St. Brown is mean, there's people like me who are high on him. Smitty's high on him. Other guys are high on him as well. But I'm so high on him that I think he's a top 10 receiver, and I think he should be he's a bona fide first round pick in a 12-man league. No doubt at all. And the fact that he goes in round 2 in like ESPN and in like Yahoo is absurd to me. I think it's like he's a bigger steal in round 2 than CeeDee Lamb is, in my opinion. Even though CeeDee Lamb finished better than he did last year in fantasy, I think this is the year I think this is St. Brown's year. This is where he vaults into like top 6, top 5, I think. So, and he goes basically at the end of round 1. You won't see him make it past the first 2 picks in round 2 on Underdog. So it's like rare. It's rare if somebody with the first 2 picks in round 2 don't take St. Brown if he's there. Like, it's rare. It's so rare that you never see it. So I'm probably gonna end the stream here a little bit soon. I mean, we've only been live for about 36 minutes, or I guess 43 minutes. St. Brown going off, yeah. As far as Barkley is concerned, man, I'll touch up on Barkley here. I like Barkley to a degree. I wish I could get him in round 3. I think somebody will probably, I'm assuming he's going to go in round 1 of the one redraft league I have. And if he does go in round 1, then I'll let somebody else take him in round 1. So, I would just be cautious with Barkley. I'd be cautious with him. I'd be really, really cautious with him. The guy had 352 total touches last year. That's not a good number. And I'm not saying he's going to get hurt. I don't think he's going to get hurt, but I do think he's going to have a little bit of a decline in touches this year. And he's going to be okay fantasy wise. I think he finishes inside the top 10 as far as running backs go, but I think he kind of finishes towards the 6 to 10 range of where he finishes, I think. And so that's why you say, well, would you take him though still? It's like, well, I would, depending on the price tag. In the second round, I'm taking Stevenson over him all day if Stevenson avoids, if he avoids, like, this is why I can't get over some of these guys in round 2. It's because, like, you got Stevenson and Breece Hall there in round 3. And Najee Harris potentially in round 4, who I really kind of like as well. And so, if Stevenson avoids the running back storm that is coming his way, if he avoids any of these guys signing with New England, I'm taking Stevenson over Barkley literally every single time. It's not even, I don't even have to think about it. And the thing about it is that you can get Stevenson like at the beginning of round 3. He used to go like in the middle of round 3. He'll go in round 2, like at the end of round 2 every once in a while, but he's a round 3 guy, and like, so the fact that I can get Stevenson in round 3 versus a Barkley in round 2, and I like Stevenson way more, and if he doesn't have Dalvin Cook or Fournette sign, then it's a no-brainer to me. That's why I'm not as high on somebody like Barkley. Same thing with Chubb. That's why, I mean, I like Chubb to a degree, but it's tough to like those guys at their price tag when you got somebody like Stevenson sitting in round 3, and Pollard, who's technically a round 3 guy, I would say. He's like right at the turn, he's at the 2-3 turn. So Stevenson or Gibbs. Stevenson or Gibbs, it just depends. It depends on what happens with Stevenson. If Stevenson avoids the running backs, like I said, it's a no-brainer. It's Stevenson all day. Because Gibbs is going to share the backfield with Montgomery. It's no secret. And so, and I'm not saying Gibbs isn't good, but he's not going to have the same type of impact, the same type of volume as like Bijan, and they're both rookies. And so that's why Bijan goes in round 1 and Gibbs goes in round 3/4. then of course Bijan's just a bigger back, all around better back as well, I think. And so, and I think Stevenson's an all around better back than Gibbs is right now. And he has no competition in the backfield. And so that's why I'm taking Stevenson over Gibbs. Now Stevenson has Cook or Fournette signed. I have a little bit different opinion at that point, because there's somebody eating into his workload at that point. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with the Patriots. But as of right now, this is why I don't draft until the week of, because as of right now, we don't know. And right now I would take Stevenson all day, but there's a good chance it gets derailed. His season gets derailed by one of these free agents coming over to New England. So we're gonna go over auction stuff tonight. This is why I'm gonna cut this stream a little short. I'm gonna cut it short so that I'm gonna do another stream here in maybe a couple of hours. We're gonna be going over auction stuff. I don't know if you guys are in auction leagues or not. You said, what if Tyreek and Bijan go? Then we're staring at Kelsey and those washed Herbies. Yeah. Let's just hope that doesn't happen, man. I don't really know what to tell you. Actually, this is what I'll tell you. If that happens, go St. Brown. If that happens, take St. Brown in round 1. Okay? That would be my advice to you. Take St. Brown round 1, and then go like Pollard in round 2, or Stevenson in round 2. We'll talk about this again, though, man. I know you have all your questions about this, but remember, you don't draft until September 6th, just like me, and so we have plenty of time to wait and see what happens in the news. But right now, I would tell you go St. Brown, and then I don't know who you would take in round 2 until I know all the news. Like, if I know that Stevenson doesn't get anybody in the backfield, I would be like, go St. Brown, and then just go Stevenson in round 2 and problem solved. But we have to wait for that news to come out. But so for right now, that's what I would tell you to do if that happens. If Reek and Bijan go, and go St. Brown, go Stevenson. And then obviously if things change in the news, we will address it again. We'll address it again. If in the coming weeks Dalvin Cook signs with the Patriots, we'll address that situation again, okay? But I just want to wait and see what happens with the news. This is why we don't draft until the last week, though. Now, like I said, so for tonight, I'm gonna go over some auction stuff, tips. This is just a preview right here of the auction tips that I have for you guys.
These are the key strategies to implement during your auction fantasy football draft. Use these strategies to strike fear into your league mates as you dominate on draft night.
All right, so this is just a little preview of the keys to drafting in an auction league. So if you ever get into one, or if you guys are currently in one, these are the keys I want to go over with you guys. You don't wait too long to nominate your guys as the number 1. The number 2 key is after a bidding war, you nominate a high-level player right after. That is a player that you don't want. Number 3, nominate high-level QBs or tight ends you don't want. And then number 4, follow up starting running backs with their perceived handcuffs. Nominate those guys soon after those guys. And we will go over, like, I obviously have stuff underneath. I'm not going to go over it right now, but I have some breakdown details regarding each one of those strategies to implement, and we will talk about them later, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. I enjoyed you guys tuning in. Hope you guys hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We will talk more about Barkley a little bit later as well. And then obviously later I will, we're going to do another stream here in probably 2 hours or so. I'm going to try to start at around 7 o'clock ish. We're going to go over some auction stuff. And if you guys have any questions about auction as well, I will answer them. And I highly encourage any of you guys out there who have been drafting for a while, or maybe you're new to fantasy football drafting. I highly encourage you guys to go do an auction draft. It's so much fun. Like, I didn't realize how much fun it was until we started it 3 years ago. And I've been doing redraft leagues forever. But it is so much more fun to do an auction draft than a redraft. It's not even close. Imagine that you are at like an auction, like where you're like, you guys ever see Storage Wars and stuff like that, where they're bidding on these garages and stuff, and they're bidding on stuff. It's like that. That's how it's like that intense, but it's like times 100 because you're drafting on NFL players that get you fantasy points. You have a budget. You have, and especially if you're in a 12-man league, you have so many guys bidding. Obviously, it'd be a little different in like an 8 or a 10-man league because there's going to be extra players out there. But in a 12-man league or a 14 or a 16-man league, it's intense because there's a high demand for players, and it's just so fun to bid on them. And you know, you can bid up your buddies that you don't like. You know, if they want a specific player, you can bid them up because you know that they like that player, and they want to draft that guy so bad. So you can bid them up, play with them, mess with them. It gets heated, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's really a good rush, and it's a lot of fun. So I highly recommend you guys start one if you have everybody on board to do it. And you know, if you guys think that would be something you guys would be interested in, I would highly recommend it. It's so fun. It's so much more. It's so much better than a redraft, in my opinion. So yeah, we're gonna go over that a little bit later. We went over the news today, right now, and so we will catch you guys a little bit later tonight, going over auction stuff and, you know, any other questions you guys have about redraft or dynasty or any stuff like that. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I'll see you guys tonight. I'm out of here. Peace out. We'll see you guys tonight.